The real estate has a positive impact on real estate, and first we would like to thank their excellencies and all participants for participating in this very important legal seminar. First, we will start with the main principles stipulated by the law organizing real estate contributions in Ajman. If you have any question, you can write them in the chat box, and we will answer them at the end of the seminar. If the questions are easy, we will and simple, we will answer them by the end of the seminar. If these are complicated and complex, we will take them home and answer them later on. The law on organizing real estate contributions in Ajman is about whenever we have individuals or real estate offices or contributors, we all know that people like to invest in new fields and guarantee their funds. And in our reality, this contributions, real estate contribution was there. However, there was no law to regulate it. However, the Ajman Emirate enacted a law to regulate the real estate contributions. First, the main principles. The first is the types of real estate contributions. There are the general and the private types of real estate contributions. Then we will uh, see second how we register the contribution, and then we'll see what are the conditions for registrations, what are the conditions and how what is the process, and then the implementation of the contribution, and the finally the expiry of the real estate contribution because the project was not completed. What is the real estate contribution and the scale of their implementation? So it is a real estate investment project that allows its shareholders to collectively participate in investing in the construction and sale of property with the aim of making profit. And this includes all relevant stages from the date of obtaining the license, offering the contribution for subscription, and implementing and marketing the project until the liquidation of the real estate contribution. This project is a project whereby individuals and companies can contribute, and there are several stages from the giving the license until the building of the construction until the completion of the project. What is the scope of application? In fact, there should be a vacant land and or if there is a dilapidated building that is being rebuilt through real investment, or a building under construction that is being completed through real estate contribution. So we have three stages or three steps. Either there is a vacant land and the property owner wants to build a project. So or there is a dilapidated building, or there is a building under construction, and the property owner wants to build. However, he can't own by himself, and that is why there is a project that is called real estate contribution, and everyone can contribute according to their shares. In the second state, there could be a dilapidated building and it should be demolished, or it and in this case, this building should be completely demolished and rebuilt again anew. In the third case, there is a building under construction that is being completed through real estate contribution. So there is a property owner who had started building the property, whether a building or a villa. But for a personal reason or professional reasons, this property owner was not able to complete the building or the project. And that is why he asks for contributions and contributors to continue to complete the building, and then the shares are distributed on the on the different contributors. Is it clear or so far, or do you have any question? If you have any question, please go ahead, or we can move. Excuse me, is it only about selling, or it's only about investing? In fact, in the law, it is about selling the property. But if the shareholders want to register the property in their names as shareholders, they can do that as well. And the property deed will be issued in their names. And after that, they are free to rent this property. Now we will move to the next slide. The types of real estate contributions. As we've said, there are two types. First, there's the general real estate contribution and the private real estate contribution. The general real estate contribution is done by a property owner agreeing with a real estate office to implement a real estate contribution project and offering shares for purchase to the public to attract shareholders to finance the real estate contribution. This means that we have a property owner and then a real estate office. So the property owner oversees the contributions. He's the owner, and then he wants to build this property, and then there is a project whereby the project is marketed to the public and the shareholders can finance the project. As for the private real estate contribution, it is done by a property owner in agreement with someone, and real estate offices and several individuals provide funds to implement the real estate contributions project without offering shares for purchase to the public. So there is um, no offering shares for purchase to the public. So there is the owner and shareholders and the office, real estate office, and they are only contributors. Say, they register this real estate in their names because the property is not offered, the shares are not offered for purchase to the public in this case. So this is when it comes to the types of real estate contributions. What are the conditions of registration in the public real estate contributions? So here it's about general conditions to abide by. So if there is a missing condition, it should be filled out. First, there should be a title deed and a site plan. So for this project, the owner should have a title deed. So a person who does not have a title deed cannot have a project. In addition, there should be a recent site plan, recent that is not older than 5 years, because the Directorate of Municipalities and the Planning, if the plan is old, should update the plan. The second condition is to open an escrow account for the real estate contribution at the bank in the name of the real estate contributions. So this escrow account will be the main fund to receive funds. And the property owner cannot take these funds because it is this escrow fund account is in the name of the real estate contributions. In addition, there should be a written approval of the property owner to allocate the property for real estate contributions. The property owner may change his mind. That is why there should be a written approval from the property owner to allocate the property. In addition, the real estate contribution trustee must be a real estate office inside the Emirate of Ajman, and they have activities in real estate contributions. In addition, The distribution of the contributions should be done to a specific number of shares, which means that the real estate contributions should be divided into shares. For example, in a company, we say that 50% of the shares are like 1 million. So in this real estate contributions should have a specific number of shares, and the shares are distributed according to the contribution of each participant. Then there should be a there should be a financial overseer or auditor, and there should be a deposit cash directly from the shareholder into the escrow account up to 15% from the amount or value of contributions. For example, if the project's amount is 1 million, the real estate office should contribute by 150,000. We also talked about the distribution of the contribution. And second, the cash should be deposited directly from the shareholder into the escrow account. And this should be done via a bank transfer or a check. All contributors should transfer the funds via a bank transfer or by check. No cash is allowed. There could be other conditions or regulations that we will highlight in the future. However, these are the main conditions. Are there any questions regarding the conditions for registering the real estate contribution? You can write the questions if something comes up, and we will answer your questions according to the type of your question, whether it's short or complex. And now we will talk about the obligations of the trustee of the real estate contributions. First, there's a general responsibility. The real estate contribution trustee is responsible for all matters related to the real estate contribution to so the real estate office contributed up to 15% of the value or the amount of the project, and this real estate office is responsible of overseeing the implementation of the project until the final implementation. Second, the trustee will represent the shareholders. So he will represent the shareholders with respect to the real estate contribution project at the Department of Municipality and Planning, and the Department of Lands Regulation and other departments to finalize any procedures related to the real estate project. The trustee does not have the right to let off or to sell the shares of the contributions. So this trustee should finalize the processes of this project and procedures, as well as managing the project. Mr. Abdulrahman asked, is this activity being done? Actually, yes. In fact, we have met with the Department of Land, and in fact they still need an approval from the Ministry of Economy, and once this approval is given, the work can start, and the real estate office should have been in activity for a year and should be a clean office with no complaints raised against them, or and with a clean record. So this real estate office should contribute up to 15% of the project and should have a financial solvency, and no charges have been raised against this real estate office. As to the third obligation is about transparency and disclosure, which means that the real estate contribution trustee must provide all information, data, and statistics requested by the department. The trustee should know the sources of the funds. So he should know. If he has any doubts about the sources of the funds, so he should notify this. As for the department can also ask from the trustee information, data, or statistics, whether financial data or bank statements or copies of transfers or contracts signed by the contributors. And the trustee should disclose the sources of funds and all other required documents. As to the legality of funds, the real estate contribution trustee may not include a contributor in the real estate contribution project if he knows that the source of the funds contributed is not legal. So if there are amounts deposited in the account which sources are not verified, then the trustee, as we've said, should always keep 15% of the shares until the liquidation of the real estate contributions. This is in general the obligations of the real estate contributions. Now we will move to the obligations of the contributors. Who is a contributor? A contributor has three obligations. The first is disclosure. The contributor is obligated to explicitly disclose the source of the funds contributed. Second, the payment. The contributor must pay the full amount contributed into the escrow account allocated to the real estate contribution project. Third, acknowledgement and authorization. The shareholder is obligated to sign a written declaration including his consent to authorize the real estate contribution trustee to dispose of the real estate that is the subject of the contributor. So they can sign contracts with the councillors, and until the final selling is done, the contributors, the amounts, the amount of the real estate that was sold will be distributed to the contributors according to their participation, and this will be done in the escrow account. So no cash will be given. So after the project is completed, the money will be deposited in the escrow account and then distributed to the contributors. As to the rights of contributors in the real estate contributions, what are these rights? So if you pay 50,000 or 100,000, if you have 10 shares, and what are your rights? First, you have the right to view the project. To review, you as a contributor, you have the right to review all stages of implementation of the real estate contribution project, including the feasibility study and other, and from the trustee who should have a ready feasibility study, and to know what are the shares that have been sold, so, and the feasibility study. Second, what is the right of the contributor? The contributor also has the right to dispose of the shares. What do we mean by disposing of the share? You as a contributor has the right to sell your shares. For example, as a contributor, if you face any problem and you need to sell your shares, so you have the certificate of contribution. For example, you have 10 shares in this project with an amount of 100,000. You can sell your shares to another party, and when you sell, the though the buyer will register the total amount of shares amounting to 100,000 shares. So your share, if you have 10 shares with a value of 100,000, so the value will not increase. As to the first right is about the periodic reports. So the shareholders or the contributor has the right to dispose of the share during the project period, sell, transferred, etc., and to receive periodic reports. So he wants to know where the project is now, including project development and implementation from the real estate and or you can go to the site of the project and see also what is the stage of implementation. Then we move to the completion stage. The implementation or completion of the real estate contribution shall not exceed 4 years from the date of expiry of the real estate contribution. Sorry, at the start, at the beginning of the implementation of the real estate contribution within a period of not exceeding 90 days from the date of expiry of the offering period. So when the real estate contribution is registered, they have 90 days. And when the registration is done and the escrow account is open, they have 90 days to start implementation of the project from the date of registration. And also there is another 90 days for the property owner to transfer the ownership of the property in the name of the real estate contribution project. For example, let's say the project's name is Yasmin 3 or Yasmin City or Yasmin 15, whatever you call your project. So the property owner will transfer the ownership of the property in the name of the real estate contribution project. Sir, the implementation project of the real estate contribution shall not exceed 4 years from the date of expiry of the real estate contribution and from transferring the ownership. So you have 4 years to implement the project, whether it's a tower, a building, or a villa. From the date of implementing the contribution, you have 90 days. But for the liquidation of the contribution, you have 1 year. We will see the liquidation of the property later on. I will repeat because it seems that you have not understood. So there is a property owner. So he wants to have a real estate contributions project. He will go to a real estate office and tell them that that he wants a real estate contribution project. So they say that we will have a real estate contribution. They will go to the real estate department and register the project. The owner has 10 days to transfer the ownership of the property in the name of the real estate contribution project. After that, there is a declaration to sell the shares. And whoever wants to buy shares will go to the real estate office, and then they can buy the shares and register these shares in the real estate department. And after that, an escrow account will be opened, and the shareholders or the contributors will contribute their funds in the escrow account. And the trustee of the real estate contribution will manage the project, and will do a contract with the real estate, and he has 90 days to start the implementation of the project. After these 90 days, in fact, there will be a problem because the project has not been implemented. After that, the implementation period of the real estate contribution project shall not exceed 4 years from the date of expiry. So the date for implementation should be a maximum of 4 years. So any real estate project should only last or be implemented within 4 years. Now we will move to the stages of liquidation of real estate contribution. Do you have any question regarding to the previous stages? The stages of liquidation of real estate contributions. Uh,
لا تلغى يعني
First, the real estate
يتنين
contribution is liquidated
أولا
by selling the property subject to the real estate contribution after obtaining the
أولادي
completion certificate and distributing the profits and losses to the shareholders. And then
دويلا
the buyer will
ما يقول
register
لي ولا بس
at the department.
നാളെ
After that, the profits will be distributed, or the losses will be distributed to the shareholders according to their participation or contribution, excuse me. The real estate contribution shall be liquidated within a period not exceeding 1 year from the date of issuance of the property completion certificate. So within 1 year, either you sell the property or your shares, or the property uh, or liquidated, but you can't keep the contribution. So within a period not exceeding 1 year from the date of issuance of the property completion certificate, the real estate contribution shall be liquidated. And the Department of Real Estate will see what are uh, the steps and the measures, and see whether the shares will be liquidated or sold. So, and then if the property is not sold within the specified period, it will be disposed of in accordance with the department's procedures. As for the expiry of the specified period to implement the real estate contribution, and second, the real estate for sale, real estate contribution and its liquidation after 4 years if you did not sell, or if the completion certificate is issued and the sale did not take place, then the specified period is expired. I am done with my presentation. If you have any questions, you can ask them now. And our colleague Abdulrahman Durzi is present with us to answer your questions related to the law on organizing real estate contributions. I would like uh, to um, to inform you that the link to the survey to be filled out by participants is in the chat box. I would like to ask about the fees for registration and selling in the future. Are 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 there any special fees? Alaikum salam. I am the director of the engineering or architecture affairs in the Department of Real Estate. Concerning the fees, the question on fees, all fees of real estate contributions differ from normal fees. And there is a decree that was issued concerning the fees that will be issued in 2025 and includes a list of all fees of real estate contributions. Yes, it is the Amiri decision number 9 issued in 2025. Assalamu alaikum. My question is assigned to Mr. Abdulrahman. Do I need to open more than one escrow account? For example, if there is one or two or three property owners. No, in fact, here it's about more than one contributions. In fact, there are conditions that every contribution trustee will have can open several escrow accounts if there are several projects. Definitely, for every project there should be an escrow account. Can you please fill out the survey? If you have no more questions, can we please ask you to fill out the survey about this seminar? If there are no further questions or clarifications, you can send us your questions via email to the department. In the real estate contribution, can we have contributors from outside the country? In fact, this is a legal section. And yes, we can have proxies in this type of project. For example, you can give a power of attorney to another person who is resident in the state to contribute in the project. Maybe the legal experts can help us. Sister Layla, can you please help us answer this question? For contributors, in fact, it's about investors, whether from inside the state or outside the state. But the issue of power of attorneys is very important because those who are managing the real estate contributions is the real estate office. So according to the law, there are no conditions for the contributors to be residents in the state because at the end of the day, it's about investors. As a question related to the fees related to real estate contributions, the Emiri decision number 9 dated 2025 for related to all fees, and in fact the fees are different from other services provided by department, so that we give incentives for the real estate contributions, and you can have a look at these fees on the website. For example, to transfer the ownership of the property right, in fact it could be considered as selling, and it's the fees are only is only 500, and for registration the estate contribution is 200 dirhams. To issue a certificate for contributors, it's 50 dirhams. So these are very symbolic fees. So please don't be afraid of the fees. Even if you want to dispose of the shares by granting them, or the fees are 500 dirhams. So all fees are symbolic. In fact, real estate contributions projects usually end up by selling the shares and not the investment. So when the building is completed, uh, the idea behind the real estate contribution is to sell the contributions and distribute the profits. And then after that, the escrow account is closed and the profits are distributed. So this is the objective of the real estate contribution project. So at the end of the day, the objective is to sell the shares. Your voice is cutting, Miss Layla. Yes, yes, I could hear you. Yes. So the objective of the project is to sell the shares at the end of the day. You said that the contribution ends by selling the shares. Do contributors can sell only their shares, or all the building should be sold together? No, we're talking about a project. We're not talking about real estate uh, uh, zones. So either you sell your shares to another person, or you can invest and manage. So you have two options. Either you sell the your shares, or you can register these shares in your names, and then you can rent the apartment or whatever. No, because here it's not about real estate development zones. So we have excluded the real estate development zones from the real estate contributions project. Can I contribute only in one project? Second, if there is any conflict arising. Whether among the contributors, who will solve the conflict? Are there specialized committees in the Department of Real Estate Development? Yes, as for the number of contributors, we in the law given flexibility to the department to regulate the minimum and maximum number of contributors and their shares. So in the law, the number of contributors and the number of shares and the minimum and maximum of the contributions are in the hand of the president of the legal department. For example, there should be a minimum of 6 or 7 contributors. So for each project, there is a study and the decision is made accordingly. As to the legal disputes, we have the Department of Overseeing, and inspection that is specialized to solve any disputes that arise from these projects. So are we here talking about the legal department in Ajman or the departments in the States? If you go back to the law, you know that there is the legal person or the natural person. So there can be, yes, a company, yes, not a person, individual who can participate in the real estate contribution. Yes. If the contributor dies, what will become of his shares? The inheritors will take the shares or someone else can take the shares? This is the first question. Second, if the contributor is under any legal case and his shares are being seized, what will happen to the shares? Who will take the shares? And these shares will be sold or these shares will be stated for in the legal department. In the case of death of the contributor, in the list of fees of services, the shares can be transferred to the inheritor by paying a symbolic fee of 500 dirhams. So, in the case of the death of any contributors, the shares will go directly to the inheritors and they can sell the shares to any other contributors. So, the decision goes to the inheritors. So, this is first. As to the second part of your question, if any legal case is raised against the contributor, in fact, in the if you go back to the law, you can see about the contributor will acquire the nature of natural contributor. Thank you. The trustee is usually the real estate office, right? And he is responsible of paying the paying the contractors. In fact, everything is overseen by the Department of Real Estate, and payments are usually done under the supervision of the department. Does the real estate office have the right to ask for fees against or for supervising the works? In fact, there are uh, the fees of the real estate office are listed by the law. So we call them the real estate uh, trustee. And if it's about a general contribution, uh, if there is no approval among the shareholders, according to the law, 2% of the from the profits gained after selling the property will be given to the real estate office. If the same office sells the property, does this office has the right to take fees for selling and for managing? In fact, these are two different things. Managing the real estate is different from selling the real estate. So the fees are different. So here we're talking about the contribution activity, and after selling the property, the real estate office has the right of 2% from the profit. So the selling the property should be done via the office, the real estate office that managed the project, or another real estate office can sell. No, in fact, the same real estate office should sell the shares. Yes, definitely, because it is the contributions trustee. So if he takes the commission from the buyer, or the legal commission is 2%. Yes, the legal commission is 2% from the sale amount. Yes, this usually happens after the approval of the seller and the buyer. Yes, sure. This is according to the law. If no agreement has been reached between the buyer and the seller, so the rate of 2% should be applied for the real estate office. Another question to Ms. Layla or Mr. Abdulrahman. When it comes to shares, the owner and the contributors, are the shares distributed among everyone, or according to the value of participation? So, how are shares distributed? Please, I need to understand. The distribution of shares or the number of contributors? What do you mean? No, no. When it comes to distribution of the shares, for example, if I have a property, and the value of this property is 750, and the construction cost is 800,000. Are the shares distributed according to the price of the land, and the shares will be distributed to everyone equally? So usually the shares are distributed equally according to each contribution. So the property will valued, and every contribution, the contribution will be done according to the value of the property first, and second to the value of the project. So let's say the value of the property is 750, and the contribution is 800. So all shares will be joined in and distributed equally. So it depends on each contributor. So the person who contributed his land, his property that is valued for 770. So his contribution is 750. That is the 50% of the total amount of the project. And the other shareholders or the other contributors will have shares according to their contributions. So there is a decision that will be issued that the value of the participation or contribution cannot be less than a certain amount. And even for the number of contributors, this also will be regulated by a decision that will be issued soon. A long time ago, some people who owned a property wanted to build, but there was no guarantee for this property owner to have contributors, and there was no law regulating these real estate contributions. So, thank you for this new law. Any other clarification or question? God bless you. Thank you for your participation. And by that, we will conclude our seminar. Thank you. Thank you for your participation and hope to see you soon.